Dagat. Okay, good morning everyone. Then, our topic, before that we discuss our topic is, these are custom words, no? Then, please read Mr. Canto, our classroom rules.
Classroom rules. Ayan, math.
Maintain.
First, maintain focus and participate actively. Ask question and seek clarification when needed. Take responsibility for your learning and progress, and handle the challenges with a positive attitude and perseverance.
Okay. If you are gonna know clarification, please your right hand, and the reporter sanay kaning answer your question. Then let's start the first reporter, this panic period.
Okay, good morning everyone. But before we start our report today, kindly stand up. Let's have an energizer. Okay, so did you know the song My Toes, My Knees, My Shoulder, My Head? Okay, so let's do this. Then afterwards, let's have a short questions. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, start. My toes, my knees, my shoulder, my head. My toes, my knees, my shoulder, my head. My toes, my knees, my shoulder, my head. Oh yes, that's right. So, thank you for participating to our energizer. I hope that all of you have got energized. Did you get energized right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's great to hear. So right now I'm going to first tackle the Hispanic period in 1565 to 1897. So here is my question to you, Miss
Joel.
Miss Joel. So, let's have a recap like that. Okay. So in our last topic, let's have a review like that. So in our last topic, so we tackled that the English becomes a widely used by the late years or late decades. So how does it affect in our daily living today? Okay, no wrong answer, just answer it. Like, how does it affect to us in our daily living? Like, we use English every day, like that. Like, since we are in the new generation, so how does it affect the English in our generation today?
Makaano ka na makatabang siya makipag-communicate sa lain ng mga tao, like for example sa Amerika, or sa lain country, para po dali na makipag-communicate sa lain, so English lang.
Okay, that's a great answer. So, right now, since we are in our topic for the English and how does the English happen in our past years or in our decade years, so we are now telling or tackling the Philippine short story in English, or an overview of the history of the English in a Philippine short story. So this one, it was when the author or the one who wrote the specific tackle is Christina Pantoja Hidalgo. So first is the Hispanic period. So in his pioneering study of the novel The Philippines, Origins and the Rise of the Filipino Novel in 1983, Russell Mujeres has demonstrated that fiction in the Philippines has its root here. So in the Hispanic period, though we have many stories that we have heard in that matter, Rizal Harris gives or demonstrated that fiction in the Philippines has its root deep or basically has its what we call the deeper reason or deeper meaning of the fiction in native soil. So there is a tradition of local narrative oral epics, ballads, tales, to which were later added the narrative types introduced by the Spaniard. So in the Hispanic period, there are we started having epics, ballads, tales that we are now encountering in our generation. That's still continuing or and not changing. So in this period, we are now starting to learn that this period is the one that the fiction started. So right now, the Spaniards also introduced the verse. Can you read that?
Catholic religious,
Next.
mythical romance,
Next.
comedio or moro-moro,
So these three are also introduced by the Spaniards. So in our generation today, we believe that the Catholic religious, mythical romance, comedia, or moro-moro has started in the Hispanic period. So right now, can you read it? Oh my God. Wait. Here. Okay. So, can you read it, Miss Lily?
Which locally became the awit na Yakorito.
So, this mythical romance is the one or the first awit and the corrido in the Hispanic period. And also, can you read this, Miss? Yes, you.
The life of Christ song chanted like a folk rapid as part of that with rituals.
Okay, so did you know that passion has been still or still being used by the Catholics? Did you agree? The passion, like it is always used in the Catholic churches. Did you agree? Isa na. Okay, did you all agree?
yes,
Okay, so I have only one student right now. So this passion was always used by the Christian, by the Christian, and also it is only used for the Christ song or chanted like a folk epic as part of the Lenten ritual. So this passion is just hindi lang ito kinakanta. It is not just only sung in just a normal days, but this passion is only used for rituals. So we cannot use this for just only for normal days or like in our house, but we only use this in the churches with a rituals. So next is okay. I am so right now let's continue to the American period. So can you read this, everyone?
The University of the Philippines was founded by the American colonizers in 1908 to educate young Filipinos to become the new English-speaking intelligence.
Okay, so the American period was found out. Let me explain it clearly. So, the University of the Philippines was founded by the American colonizers. So, if you see that that school or that premises or that university has become a popularized in the American period, and also to educate young Filipinos to become the new English speaking intelligentsia. That is why there are many students in the University of the Philippines has become a great English speaker, or like they are great in writing novels, writing stories. Since we are tackling the Philippine short story in English, hence the split between high and low literature and the evolution of the concept of the background has opposed, means like divert, or like hindi sila basta ganon. To create cultural alienation. This cultural alienation was to have far-reaching effects. So though we have the great writers, however, there are some negative things that happen in the since we have the high and low literature. These developments reinforce what Mohan's called. Okay, wait lang. So Mohan's called the fragmentation of the audience, hampering the technical development of writing in the native languages and alienating the writers in English from the popular culture. So we say that in the later years or the decade years, the Filipino writers have been using the native language. However, to popularize their stories or their works, they use the English, or they come up with a idea of using English in their stories, like the native language. The native language, they change it into English language so that their work will be popularized in that era. And also, English, since in the American period have a strict use of language, we can only express ourselves through English language, since they are in that period they are colonizing the Filipinos, and that is why there are many stories, novels, Filipino public speakers that uses the English language. So right now, the Philippine short stories in 1975, these are the first volume covering in 1925 to 1940s, contains 66 stories by the 31 writers. So 8 of the writers included birth to eventually publish collection of their own. So in this era or in this period, there are 8 of the writers, or let's say 31 writers that were eventually published their works in that era only. So those are just this a few, since we have 31, but these are the most popular writer in this era. So the first one is Jose Garcia Villa.
in 1906 and 1997. When Benito Santos in 1911 to 1995. And NVM Gonzalez in 1915 to 1999. Nick Joaquin to 1917 to 2004. Arturo Rutor 1907 to 1988. Manuel Arguera 1910 to 1944. Estrella Alfon 1917 to 1983. Francisco Arceliana in 1916 to 2002. So these authors or these writers has been the writers that is popular to the American period that eventually published their own writings or their own stories. So let's recap. Okay, so these Spaniards they first give the introduction of fictions, stories like fictions that includes epics, ballads, and tales, to which they added to their history or their era. While the American period, the short stories, let's say many stories that happened in this era become popular as many Filipino writers have become popular because of their short stories. So right now, we will now continue our report to Miss Rubante.
So, in post-war period in 1946 and to 1960, a few years before the outbreak of the Pacific, the government established the Commonwealth Literary Awards, which gave literature a tremendous boost, but the elevation was short-lived. In response to Edilberto Tiempo's complaints about the lack of critical evaluation of Philippine short story. So in the post-war period, the Commonwealth Literary Awards boasted literature, also Japanese occupation 1941 to 1945 surpassed English promoting Tagalog. And American influence remained strong through the Fulbright program. So the new trends emerged in the post-war period, like franker depiction of sex, inclusion of ethnic minorities, experimental narrative style. So the notable writers are Edilberto Tiempo, Edith Tiempo, F. Sionel Jose, Kerima Colotan, Lina Espina. So, established of the Literary Awards, Carlos Palonca Memorial Literary Awards in 1950 and Philippines Free Press Magazine Short Story Contest in 1946. Also, critical evaluation of the Philippine literature, P.D. Agcaule, Philippine Writing and Edith Tiempo's essay. So, also, emergence of new writers include national artists of literature. So, nakita ko siya tanan that happened in post-war period. So, let's proceed to the contemporary period in 1960 to 2005. So, in 1960, the government the Republic Cultural Heritage Awards. The first recipient was NVM Gonzalez for the novel The Bamboo Dancer in 1959. This was the forerunner of the present National Artist Award. So, NVM Gonzalez is the Siya ang so siya ang recipient na to sa the novel named title Babango Dancers in 1959. So in contemporary period in 1960 to 2005, in early years, 1960s, in the year 1960s, Republic Cultural Heritage Awards established in 1960. Notable writers is N.B.M. Gonzalez, again and again. Hirimang Pulutan, Bueno Los Santos, and the two anthologies published in the early 60s give us a good idea of the scene a decade after Hollis' book in his book, The Pen Anthology of Short Stories in 1962. So, mga titles of two anthologies ha, pamina mo. The titles of two anthologies are Pen Anthology of Short Story in 1962 and Equinox in 1965. Also, the debate between art of arts, sake and socially committed literature continue. So maturity and prevalence. This happened in the late 1960s to 1970s. When writers matured, producing novels and high-quality stories. Also, the political unrest and martial law 1972 politicized writers. Socially engaged fiction emerged the writers like Ninochka Costa and Luis Teodoro. Some writers give up writing in English or adapted or more radical way or styles. So in martial law, in 1972, this happened in contemporary period martial law, 1972 to 1986, literary published declined, but some writers continued to publish. Carlos Polanca Memorial Awards for Literature continue. National Artist Award established in 1973. Focus is Philippine magazine published fiction during martial law. So, right now martial law time post-Marcos era. In 1986 to present. So the restoration of democracy led to literary flowering. New magazine, newspapers, and publishing house emerged. So ga-emerge pa more ang mga publishing houses. So writers reflected on their role in society and their relationship with power. So, Ate Lila, we will continue.
Okay, so to summarize this one, since it is very long enough for you to understand, I put it into for you to understand what is that? The pagkakasunod-sunod or the continuation of, the sequence, yes. The sequence of the period that happened in the contemporary period. So, first is the 1960s, which is the Republic Cultural Heritage Award established. Again, what is it? What is the 1960s? The Cultural Heritage Awards established. So that was the time where the RCHA was established. In 1962, the PEN Anthology of Short Story published. What is it again? The PEN Anthology of Short Story was published. So, the difference between the 1960s is only the establishment of the Republic Cultural Heritage Award, while the 1962 is the start of the pen anthology of short story. Then in 1965, the Equinox 1 anthology was published, and late 1960s, the political turbulence began. So again, 1960, 1962, 1965, and late 1960s, so that you can deep or widen the idea of how the contemporary period happens in that period. Yes. So let's now tackle the present scene before we have a recap for all the points, for all the topic.
Then the present sense. Present sense is one of the most striking things about the literary sense today is that despite the fact that the audience for the literature has not grown much, then where the short story is the concern, we might note that some of the old guard are still writing. What is the old guard? It means the author of the Alberto Tempo's plan about the lack of critical evaluation, that the old guard has 7 authors, but the authors are capable of the old guards writing. Then, since the mention should also be made Filipino writers who lives overseas. Unlike the second generation, separate writers, Villa, Bulusan, Santos are the 3 writers of the creating of the present since today. Then many among them there are named abroad by writing, not about the American experience, but about the mother country. To mention only the fictionals, there are this diaspora is an aspect of the Philippine reality which cannot be ignored. However, its effect on writing in English in the Philippines have not yet been measured. Okay, no? In Philippine history, in English, we tackle that have authors. No? These authors, it may be if we are not writing and passing our generation, it will be what they nabalaan into the history of past few years, no?
Then what he said is that we are just only acknowledging the authors that are popularized. However, those authors that have become the old guard, we don't know. We probably don't know if their short story have been published or have been popularized in this era or in this present scene. So, as you can see, short story has become a worldwide presentation or representation of everything. How a person or how a writer can write, or how our author, the Filipino author, can write in our community. However, we have let's say some backgrounds or some things to learn about how the short story started and become popular in our present scene. So, if you can see, we Oh, so the conclusion is that
The Philippine English short story in English is a conclusion is what we say that if we now consider the prospect for the future, one central question is in what language will be function of the future be retained, di ba? Basta pala, they will say na if they have the authors or the novel are passing the future, this will be knowing that what happened in these past few years, no? That's why that will be think for the authors na kanang acknowledge them, no? The story of our what we colonize in Spanish, American, what the country has belong to us.
and that's all. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.